Hello, what is going on, guys? I am the CHALL and welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to be talking about a rumoured trade between three top NBA teams: the 76ers, the Raptors and the Golden State Warriors. And we're going to be talking about the solution that could work for all sides if this trade ends up happening. Now before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe and click the notification bell for more sports content. And for now, guys, let's get into this video. So let's talk about what we found out about this rumoured trade, only rumour at the minute, rumoured trade that could happen on all three sides. Now, like I said before, this trade involves the Philadelphia 76ers, the Golden State Warriors, who are not in the playoffs this season for the first time since 2012-2013, and your current defending NBA champions, the Toronto Raptors. So, let's have a look at what is going on then with this article. So this article, according to fadeawayworld.net, states the remainder of the 1920 NBA season may be up in the air, but it hasn't stopped teams from sniffing out potential deals on the trade market. One particular trade could involve the move of several star caliber players, including Kyle Lowry and Ben Simmons. Now, the report by Kendrick Perkins' colleague Rashad Phillips on Twitter, he puts on Twitter, the LaMelo Ball effect. Toronto will try to trade Kyle Lowry and company to Philly, Ben Simmons to Golden State Warriors. Raptors will try and move up the board and draft LaMelo Ball. Melo is ranked in my top prospects on my board. Now, you can actually visit that website, sportstalk2319.com, and he's put at the end of it #talksoon. For those of you who want to know a little bit more about LaMelo Ball, in terms of player rankings and the probability meter, he's rated RP3 top 3 traits in flair, vision and size. Now, while the Raptors are still among the Eastern Conference elite, they may be a piece or two away from true championship contention. The acquisition of LaMelo Ball would be a project but its potential upside might provide Toronto with enough firepower to put them over the top. By trading their pick for Simmons, the Warriors would have a bona fide young star to pair alongside Steph Curry, Klay Thompson and Draymond. With that roster, they'd be right in contention for the title race. Finally, for the Sixers, the swap of Simmons for Lowry would patch up one of the biggest holes in the 76ers team, and that is perimeter shooting. So all in all, it would be a deal that works for all, but whether or not it will actually happen depends on how things progress in the next few weeks. We'll all see how it ends up. So that is basically what it says in the article. Now, obviously the big talking points from that article is how it would affect all three teams. Now, of course, the 76ers, the Warriors and the Raptors, three good looking teams, but I think they need that one extra step to put them in contention in the playoffs and up for that NBA title. Now, obviously we know the Golden State Warriors are past title winners, however this season haven't actually been at their best. It's the first time they've been out of the playoffs in back-to-back years, well, not back-to-back years, but it's their first time outside of the playoffs since 2012-2013. Now, they've got the superstars like Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. However, I think if they bring in Ben Simmons, they'll have another young, up-and-coming future star on their hands. And I think that they've got a real opportunity here to be a driving force next season. I think if they bring in Ben Simmons in this trade, I think that Ben Simmons would provide them with that little extra spark that they need. You've got to remember, now the Eastern champions, Toronto Raptors, who ended up beating the Golden State Warriors in last year's final, thanks to MVP Kawhi Leonard. Now, the Toronto Raptors in this deal are actually going to get themselves a bargain. Now, in terms of when I think of, bargain and things like that, you've got to look at the stats from the article, because I think the Toronto Raptors want to move further up the board. If they manage to get this trade and this potential deal involving Lowry and Simmons over the line, this would mean that Toronto would get Lowry to Philadelphia, Ben Simmons goes to the Golden State, and Toronto would get her further up the draft, which means they could draft in LaMelo Ball, and that LaMelo Ball deal would bring in extra firepower, and it would be that last piece of the puzzle the Raptors could need to hold on to their NBA championship. Now, obviously the Toronto Raptors are still a decent side, and I'm sure the Golden State are as well, and the 76ers, but again, this will be a trade that works out for everyone. Raptors need that one extra piece, The Golden State need another young bona fide star to pair up alongside their other stars, and the 76ers need someone to fill in that perimeter shooting role. Now, in terms of the 76ers, Kyle Lowry fits the bill of what is needed to be a decent perimeter shooter. So you really do need to think about whether this is the best for everyone. And I personally think that it is the best for everyone. But now we have to look on the flip side of this. What would need to happen if, and only if, this trade doesn't go ahead, or is not rumoured to go ahead? Well, that would mean Simmons stays with the Philadelphia 76ers, and they need to find someone else to help build into that perimeter shooting role, and the current players need to improve on their training abilities. Obviously, the Warriors would need to find another young bona fide star to replace Simmons' position. So that could give us some hints as to what specific position they're looking at when it comes to the draft. And of course, Toronto Raptors need to find those young stars in their position in the draft and help build them up. They need to take, if they can't get further up the draft, and they have to stick with what they've got when that draft does come about at the end of June. I believe it's June 25th they're planning it. Of course, it's not live this year for the first time due to the coronavirus pandemic. Obviously, for the first time, it's going to be via a video conference call. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to hear in and see what those predictions are, and of course, deliver the draft to you guys. But if Toronto can't get higher and they have to stick with what they've got in terms of their draft position, then they've got to try and pick the best player they can for the best position they want to improve in and get more young talent in. And then take him and the draft picks that they've got to the coaching staff and say, mould them, create them, make them the perfect player. And I think they will do that. So I think the Raptors are on a hunt for that last piece of the puzzle. The Warriors are on the hunt for another bona fide young star to pair up alongside their current stars, and the 76ers need to improve in perimeter shooting to build up their chances of more playoff contention and getting closer and closer to that title. Now, obviously, one of the big questions with the 76ers is, if Ben Simmons does go, would that be a hit or a miss? Now, of course, it would be a massive hit for his, new team, but would it be a miss for the 76ers? Because even though they might draft in another young star, or they may get someone in to fill that position in some kind of other trade, or a free agent comes in with loads of experience and a lot of talent to fill in the position that would be left by Ben Simmons leaving for the Golden State Warriors, could that mean that it would be a miss if Simmons goes? And the answer for me would be, I think it should. I think the back injury for Ben Simmons has been a bit of a miss, and I do believe that he did get injured pretty quickly, so it's a shame that we couldn't see more of the best of Ben Simmons, because I do believe that now he's on the road to recovery, I think that he can prove to be the 76ers worth. But the question is he the only player and the only world-class star that's going to take 76ers to that next stage and get them to the finals of the NBA championship playoffs, to the finals of the playoffs? And the answer for me would be no. It isn't just about one player. You've got to build your talent. So they've got a good squad already. Ben Simmons is world class. We all know that. He's a future Hall of Famer and a future NBA legend on the rise, in my opinion. So I think Ben Simmons is all right. The rest of the team, I'm sure, will improve. They've got a decent squad, but they need to start building them up a little bit more, bring in more talent, and I'm sure with that cap space, with that salary cap space, I'm sure they're going to have quite a bit to play with come the summer. So I think that the 76ers may be on the rebuild job to take them that one step further than the playoffs and get in contention for the title. Golden State, obviously we know they're in their division, they're eliminated from playoff contention from their specific division. But Golden State do need that extra young talent to bring them up. And, we spoke in that last video about Giannis Antetokounmpo from Milwaukee Bucks and about how he could be a potential opportunity for Golden State Warriors. If they don't get him and they don't get Ben Simmons in this rumoured trade deal with the 76ers and the Toronto Raptors giving up that first pick to bring in Simmons, and Philly gets Lowry and company, and of course the Raptors get an improved draft pick for 2020, I do believe that not bringing in Giannis and this trade deal don't going through, it would be vital. That first pick, or that rumoured lottery first pick for the Golden State Warriors, would be massive, because you didn't get Giannis, and this trade deal involving Lowry and Simmons and the first draft pick didn't go ahead. So you've still got the draft pick, the number one draft pick in the draft, or protected to get the number one draft pick in the draft, which is, interesting. But you know, you've got to think of, right, we didn't get Giannis, we need to get someone just as good to line up against Curry, Thompson and Draymond. So the Warriors have got a very interesting draft coming up when the draft, you know, starts in about a month's time. Or just over a month's time. So, you know, the Golden State really have an opportunity here to land big in the NBA draft. 76ers need to improve on perimeter shooting, so they need to find the best perimeter shooter when it comes to their draft, so they can build up in that position. So if they bring in someone with experience to help Ben Simmons, and you know, as a backup option, then they'll still need someone in that draft that's a good perimeter shooter from whoever's left when it comes to their pick for the 76ers to actually get a chance to improve in that position for the future, as well as the experienced veterans to teach them the way, kind of thing. For the Raptors, obviously in their draft position, if that doesn't change, if they don't go to number one and Raptors stay the same, they're going to need someone equally good that's left in that by the time they pick their draft pick. So the Raptors need that missing piece of the puzzle to help them get one step further. You know, when the season restarts behind closed doors, you know, do I think that the Raptors, you know, could retain their NBA title? They could. You never know. You never know. There's so many good teams in contention this year when the season restarts. And I do think that the Raptors could be in contention to retain their NBA title. It just depends on what happens. The playoffs, you can't predict the playoffs. It could literally be any outcome, any situation, anything. So, you know, you can't really predict the playoffs. It's like a script with no writing. You can't predict it. It could go either way. Twists, turns, losses, wins, glory, anything, injuries, anything could happen. So, you know, I'm not going to predict that now. I think once the season restarts and we get closer and closer to the end of the regular season, and we get into the playoffs very, very soon, then I'll start making my first predictions about who's going to win the playoffs and things like that. So, I really hope you guys look forward to that video. Thank you very, very much for watching this video on the rumoured trade involving Ben Simmons, Kyle Lowry, LaMelo Ball rumoured to be the first pick, and of course that number one draft pick altogether involving the 76ers, the Raptors and the Warriors. Thank you very much, guys. My name is the CHALL. Please like, comment, subscribe for more NBA videos. Goodbye.